Hi, this is Aditi, Raising World Children, and with me I have Korean Kristen. She is an empowerment coach for parents of sensitive kids, and it is so incredible that she chose to join us today to talk about an awesome topic that I have found incredible. But more about that later. Korean, please tell us a little bit more about you.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So I am an intuitive parent empowerment coach. I work with all types of kids and highly sensitive and sensitive children as well. What I do mostly is I help parents understand kind of where their kids are coming from. Not just like, oh, here's a parenting tactic that you need to do. It's more about connecting with your kids and understanding what they're thinking and kind of why they're acting the way they do. Because, every tantrum or bad behavior, there's a reason for it.
I do believe that's very true. It's often that we feel that, oh, this is just a tantrum, but there is often either they're hungry or they've missed a nap, or, I mean, there are many things. Sometimes they're just
Right.
not having a good day because we ourselves, if you notice, even as adults, I've seen a lot of people forget the fact that we are cranky a number of times a day for various reasons, and that applies for kids as well.
Right. Yeah. And it can be something as simple as, like you said, they're overtired, or, it could be something going on in the home. And especially little kids, they have a hard time expressing them, and adults too. We have a hard time putting words to the feelings sometimes, but especially little kids, they have a hard time expressing that, so of course it comes out as a tantrum.
Yes.
And a lot of times parents want to fix the behavior or stop the tantrums, but by understanding where it's coming from, you can not only stop it, but continue to prevent it from happening again.
That's true. That's true. That's wonderful. And it's wonderful that you're taking this initiative to help parents understand that better so that, they can better understand their kids. Because after all, we are trying to create a world where, everyone can better understand each other as a family and, build, when you build each other as a family, that's when you can build the world together. So coming back to what we were going to talk about today, because I'm really excited to learn more, because I have done this n number of times. And when I was reading your article, which says the same thing, is am I turning into my mom? And so many times I look at my son and I'm like, stop doing that. Or, have you seen that thing? This is what's going to happen to you. And I'm like, wait a minute, am I turning into my mom? Or I keep things in a certain place and I'm like, no, I haven't kept it. I didn't miss it. I didn't miss keeping it from here to there, but I have. I know I have, and that happens so many times. And I didn't know there was a word for that, which is called generational parenting, which is something which is related to patterns in parenting. And I think you are the
Mhm.
best person to tell us about it. So please go ahead.
Yeah. So, um, I guess what I call generational parent. It's something I'm sure we've all done, and we even hear it like in movies, and it's kind of like a joke, like, "Oh my God, you're turning into mom," or "Oh my God, you know, I'm turning into my mother or my father, or whatever. And there's a reason for it. I mean, it's funny when you hear it, but there's a reason for it. And we grow up, um, we mimic our biggest influencers, and majority of the time that is going to be our parents. Those are the people who shaped us and molded us, and that can be good and bad. There's good traits that we're taught and that are passed down. Sometimes our parents teach us manners, or they teach us certain things, but there's also bad traits that are passed down as well, often unknowingly. They don't mean to pass down bad traits, but it happens. So these things, because they're so ingrained in us from childhood, it's really hard to be reprogrammed. It's those things that just automatically happen. And that's why, we say something like, we tell our kids, like, don't don't do, or something, or you're gonna break open your head or something, whatever. But
Yeah.
it's like the same phrase that your mom used, right?
Yes,
Because it's
exactly.
already in your subconscious. It's just a phrase that was said to you over and over as a kid, and you just automatically it when you're a parent yourself. So it's this subconscious programming that we've gotten, through our childhood and our young adulthood, and that comes back up when we're parenting our own children. And because it's so automatic, even the things that we wish we didn't say or wish we didn't do, it's really hard to change unless we're aware of it.
Mm-hmm. And it takes so much self-awareness to understand that it is often just slid by because you don't stop and think that, what, it, like you said, it's just a joke, you think about it and it passes over. But there are often so many excuse me, bad traits of parenting that we pass over because that is where we learn parenting from. There is no school for parenting. There is no and there are different so many different strict modes of schools of parenting when there are, that people get confused that, if I follow one thought process, that is the only one that I should be following, whereas every child is tailored differently, right? So we need to be more aware of that and understand that in order to, be able to parent our kids better.
Yeah. And I think a lot of things like for example, like spanking, if you were spanked as a child,
Yes.
You automatically think that's how you discipline your children. And I know when my daughter, who's almost 10 now, when she was little, we did spank her because we didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
And both my husband and I mean, we're 80s children, we were spanked.
Yes.
We didn't like it, and we quickly ended because it did not work for her at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something, we realized that, why are we doing this? It's just because that's how we were parented, and that's, you do what you're taught.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and I mean, not directly taught, but being brought up this way, it's what we're indirectly taught, right?
Yes. And the simple thing, like we just mentioned, is the fact that what worked for you is not necessarily what will work for your children, because this world of children that we have today is completely different from what us 80s children were. I mean, for us, it was like, okay, if you were spanked, or, if I mean, in India, it's like a slap, you get one tight slap and it's fine, I don't even remember them because I know that I was slapped, but it never really registered. It wasn't like I liked or disliked them. It was just like a way of life, But today's children, I like you said, it doesn't work with them. And every child is different, so it may or may not. But a lot of people, what they say is that, what, it happened to me and I'm completely fine, so what's wrong with it?
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, it's not about right or wrong. It is perfect. I mean, again, like what I said, it's the fact is that every child is different. So we need to be more aware about what works for each child, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And like my daughter, spanking did not work for her. She's very sensitive, where she takes things in, and she's more like just explaining things to her. She's very intelligent, so just explaining things to her and talking to her works so much better than any type of physical punishment, because she didn't equate like what she did with this punishment. It didn't make any sense, and I mean, I'm sure it works for some families, but like you mentioned, it's what works for that specific child and how they get information, how they process it.
There's no one solution for all anymore, and it was not even then. I think it's just that even they did not know that, and in those days they didn't even have the time to. Now we have all this awareness and all these people willing to learn and willing to adapt and understand and motivate each other, whereas that time it was everyone was into their own, because there was these joint families and everyone was so busy, and then it was a different time altogether. So I mean, it's not like you can even blame them for that, actually.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and I think too, back then, there was a lot of, I know personally, like for me, there was like a lot of grandparents stepping in and helping parent the children. I mean, now we see this whole generation of parents who are like work-at-home parents or entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So we can parent our children more, but like our generation, our parents had to work. Most of them worked outside the home. So there was, the older generation parenting. And then that goes back even further. Like that generation, was probably, you know, the way they parented was not was even harsher than our own parents, you know. And I know for my family, like my mom wasn't, I don't want to say she wasn't loving. She wasn't affectionate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, people show their love in different ways, but my mom wasn't the most affectionate person. She was a bit critical at times, but and as a child that hurt because I couldn't understand why. But looking back, I can see the way my grandmother is, and that is exactly like my grandma was worse than my mother. So that was how my mom was raised.
Yes.
So again, it goes back to generation, the parenting. That's how my mom was raised. So that's how she raised us. That's how she acted as a parent because, you repeat these patterns, and unless you're aware of the patterns and aware of what you don't want to do, it just gets repeated.
Yes, and your article speaks so wonderfully about how there are some ways in which we can. So, can you please tell us a little bit more about how a few ways in which we can do that?
Sure. I think the first step is always awareness. So it's like taking, a good, honest, sometimes it's a bit raw, it's a bit real, but it's taking a good look at your own childhood and how you were parented. And just being completely honest with yourself. What did you like, or what did you not like? What do you not want to repeat? And it's understanding. You don't have to go as deep as understanding where that came from for your parents,
Mm-hmm.
but when you are more aware of what you don't want to do, you think of things like, oh, what did my parents say that hurt me, or how did my parents treat me that I didn't like? And then kind of equip that. Are you repeating that somehow? Maybe not fully repeating it, maybe just sometimes it just pops out of your mouth, or like oftentimes parents that were critical on their children, or they use harsh language, those people are now saying similar things to their children because they think that's the way to go. But as we know, this new generation of children, they're definitely more sensitive, and that type of love doesn't always work.
And it's not even
It
about
doesn't work.
thinking. It's a subconscious reaction.
It is.
And, this is how we were spoken to, and it's ingrained within you. So you respond this exact same way in which it's in which you were responded to when you behave the way that in that way. And in
Definitely.
fact, that's not how you're supposed to. Maybe you're not supposed to. Let's put it that way, because there's always room for understanding the fact that every situation is different. But yeah, I think it is like what is most disturbing in this whole thing, to me, is that all of this happens subconsciously, which is something which we really really need to work a lot on, most of us, I think, because like this those small things, like even I tend to do it sometimes, like from my parents, when they have this different way of talking, and when I say something to my son, and I'm very conscious of it, so I have to make a lot of effort of not being that way with my kids. And it slips out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and then you're like,
Right.
Mom, you hurt my feelings. And I'm like, yes, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I should not have said that. And that's something that I think that's the only thing I can do, is accept that what I did was wrong, and in that moment, because this is something that's so ingrained within myself,
Right.
and
Yeah, and it's
it's difficult.
automatic sometimes.
Yeah.
It's hard,
Yes.
but I think um even having the level of awareness, like it still comes out. Having awareness doesn't stop the behavior,
Yeah.
or it doesn't stop you from saying things.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings you back to, like, so you know why you did it, and like how you do, you immediately apologize for it, and that it hurts your son. And I think it's so great that your son feels comfortable, enough, and he has that own awareness for his own feelings, that he can tell you that you hurt his feelings. Like he is very aware himself, and I think that's wonderful, and that's a wonderful there's something I still work on with my daughter. She's so much like me as a child. She will just like clam up, and I have to like pry it out of her, when things are bothering her. And we're still working on that. But
I think that's
I think
part of genes. We are a
both,
very talkative
yeah,
family per se, so I think that's something that we are blessed with so far, because his father's not that talkative, but I'm hoping that he's always that way, where he talks and he's more communicative. Both my children, I hope that they are always more vocal with what they feel and what they think, because I feel open communication is one of the key aspects of anything, any relationship, or any, if you want to be successful at anything in life, be it relationships or business or work or
mhm,
studies or anything. I mean, that's just one important thing. So yeah.
yeah, for sure. And and as they get older and they become teenagers, and
Yeah. Yes.
you're setting this foundation that they know they can open up to you and they can express their feelings. And I think that's wonderful, because I'm coming up, my daughter's going to be 10, so we're coming up on preteen and then teen years. So
Well, I wish you luck,
that
but I can see that you're doing a wonderful job with your children, of course.
that
Um,
scares me though. I mean, I have no experience with the teenagers. So
yes, well, we are all learning together, and I'm sure soon we'll find someone who's a little bit ahead of us who'll be willing to teach us something, and maybe we can have them over for a conversation and learn a lot more from them, and then we'll have a big whole good community to learn. So thank you so much, Corinne, for being with us today. It was a pleasure learning from you. And of course,
oh,
anyone who wants to learn more about what she just talked about, to read the article which is in this video. And of course, Corinne, please tell everyone where they can connect with you personally, because I know definitely there are people who are going to want to reach out to you and get a lot of advice from you.
sure. You can connect with me directly on Facebook. I'm there most days. It's facebook.com/Kareen Kirsten. You can also head on over to my business page and like that, which is Kareen Kirsten Coaching. Um, yeah, that's probably the best place to connect with me. I love getting messages and chatting with people. So yeah, just connect.
The links will be in the description, and don't forget
Okay.
to like and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channel, and we will definitely keep bringing you awesome content and raising world children together. Thank you so much for joining us.